We just wait.
We smile for a while, and then we say, "Hey, everybody, welcome to the Indie Show." It's so funny, Cindy. The way that this technology works is I never know exactly when it's going to start broadcasting.
Yeah.
So we'll see on the replay when it decided to start. But
Yeah.
hi, everybody. Welcome to the Indie Show. I'm so excited today to have Cindy Scott with us. Cindy is a live event painter, and that's mostly what you do, right, Cindy?
Yes. Yeah. Right now it's not so much heavy wedding season, so I'm doing a lot of commission work during the week, but mid-March, late March, things pick up for sure, and wedding season will be on. So yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, I've seen her work, and she's going to be pointing to some of the work behind her in a little bit. I mean, Cindy, I think it's so cool that you are making a living off of this traditional, painting type of form where you are right now. You're hearing a lot of like starving artist stories around being an
Right.
artist, and particularly around painting. And so I'm so excited to kind of dig in to how you're building a profitable business around this. And I think that the way that you're doing it is awesome. I think we've talked a little bit about like how you're offering a service at the same time that you're marketing. I just think there's so many cool things about what you're doing. And you've been
Yep.
doing it for 2.5 years.
Yep. It's been about full time for 2.5 years. So yeah, the
Jeez.
first one was maybe close to 3 years ago, but there was some lag time in there. I didn't think that there was any real need to pursue this or to figure this out. So,
Yeah.
but somebody somewhere keeps trusting me to do this and show up at their parties and just paint. So I
I
just
think
plug
it's
in
so
and try to
cool.
figure it out. Thank
I
you.
think it's so awesome. So let's go back to kind of the beginning of wherever you say that your story
Hmm.
with TooRooster starts. And, and,
Yeah.
and what's the name of the business? It's
TooRooster Artistry.
TooRooster Artistry. That's the full name.
Yeah, TooRooster
And
Artistry.
you're doing mostly weddings.
Yes. Yeah, mostly weddings. There are some corporate events and fundraisers and galas that happen
Cool.
on non-wedding days, but weddings are full time.
All right, cool. Yeah, tell us a little bit about how your your adventure into painting and live painting started.
Yeah, it was not my idea. I had no idea this world existed. I've known this family for years now, and they've traveled lots of cool places, and they see all kinds of crazy things on their trips. So they come back to me and they say, "Hey, we saw this in an airport lobby or a museum wall or on in some event we attended, on one of their trips." So they come back home and we figure out a way to make it happen in their home. On one of their trips, maybe 2014-15, they saw an event painter, working at an event they attended while they were traveling. And he was getting ready to have a customer appreciation luncheon, I believe it was, and he wanted something else going on. So there was an author that was there talking about her book, and then he contacted me and said, "I want you to paint during lunch." And I thought he was crazy. I mean, artists always like to kind of hole up and work on something for weeks and revisit it
Yeah.
after some time passes and maybe finally unveil it once they feel like it's done. But this was not that. This wasn't a lunch, maybe 2 hours if people have the time to linger. And, but it worked. I had some, we talked about what to do ahead of time. I had some local landmarks, just images preloaded on
Mhm.
my iPad, and I just collaged those together and painted as fast as I can. And I loaded it in somebody's trunk at the end. The person that had the gold star on their plate or something won the painting. It was probably still wet, but they took it home, and
My
that was the first
gosh.
one. So,
My gosh.
yeah, yeah.
So we talked before we went live about um, one of your first times doing the live painting that you were asked to work on a canvas that was much bigger than what you normally are doing now. Was that the very first time that you were asked to do one of those?
Yeah, at a wedding,
Jeez.
and I just let them pick the size. I mean, I didn't have any experience to
Yeah,
even guide them at that point. So
sure.
we were actually at a meeting in a hotel lobby talking about this project, and there was a TV monitor on the wall, and they said, "I don't know, maybe about that size." And I eyeballed it, and I thought, well, that's probably a 24 by 36 canvas, so let's just do that, having no idea, what it would take to fill that up during a wedding.
So it was
So
how big?
24 inches by 36 inches.
Jeez.
So, yeah, yeah. So that was the first one, and the first one, I, you know, I, I honestly had no idea what I was doing. I I don't know. I won't say their names because I don't want them to like. Anyway, I show up probably 2 or 3 hours before the event. I get the backdrop in place. Of course, at that point, the event and venue staff is still setting everything up, and
Yeah.
overhead lights are all on and stuff. I didn't anticipate, oh, yeah, once the party starts, the lighting changes. I didn't see that
Oh,
coming, you know?
yeah.
And I thought in my head I had to get the entire room and get it all academically in place, perspective wise, and angles right, and every single table. I tried to get every single table in there so every guest had a place. It was insane. So that one, I worked until I was just kind of blurry visioned and just my head was a little swirly, and the
Sure.
party was well underway. Definitely time for me to scoot. So I packed up my little canvas and my kit, and I just kind of went home going, I've got to figure this out. Cannot this cannot be. And I worked on it at home for another 10, 15 hours ish. I don't even know.
Gosh. So that was your first one.
That was the first wedding. Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah.
real quick, someone in the
Yeah.
comments, Veronica, just asked if this was live. Yes, it is. If you guys have any questions for Cindy, feel free to ask them in the comments. Cindy, I want to make sure that everybody kind of has an understanding, not just of like the overall topic of what you do, which is
Yeah.
like the live event painting, but I'd love for everybody to kind of see what the finished product looks like. I know you have a few pieces behind you. Would you mind grabbing one of them and like
Yeah. Let me see if I can get them with
you guys,
keeping my
this
setup
this
here.
is so cool, and you can go to. I think is it TooRooster? Is that your typical social media handle on like
Yeah.
Instagram and things?
Yeah. 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 Two Roosters, TOOROOSTER.
You guys check her
So,
stuff out because it's amazing. But
so
here's
this one,
so this is something that you painted live.
yes. This one, I was at a wedding show in Kansas City, and kind of what people mostly show up for is the fashion show at those things. So that's when you get a lot of the crowd in there. It was so cute. There was a little couple of vendors that one guy came over and grabbed a girl that was working at a booth, and they just started dancing in the aisle. And I thought, well, that's fun. I need to add that in there. It's not one moment captured. It's a lot of different things going on all at
Yeah.
one time. So, and that's what I hope to for a wedding, is that I'm capturing a little bit of everything that's going on, really telling the story of the event, of the occasion. So in a case like that, it was the fashion show that I was kind of capturing, but there was people whispering in the crowds, people pointing at dresses they liked or didn't like, and you know, pictures being taken on phones, and lots in the painting. There's a lot more people on stage than there
So
was
cool.
at one time. So I'm not limited to the lens of a camera.
I,
So I
okay,
just,
I love it because, and I'm sorry, I get when I get excited, I tend to interrupt people.
no, it's okay.
But I think it's so cool because as much as I loved our wedding photographer, shout out to Gerber Scarpelli
Yay.
out in Chicago, they're
Sure.
amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I love what you do because what you just said, it's more than a photo. And I wish that I would have known about what you did when we were still engaged because we
Get me your
decided,
pictures. I can paint
oh,
from photos. When's your
great
anniversary?
idea.
Yeah, yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
let them know. Ooh, my 5 years coming up.
I mean, yeah,
That'd be
that's
awesome.
perfect. Hmm.
So, I say that because my wife Kat and I decided to have a videographer in addition to our photographer, and we love that video footage so much because
Yes.
it's more than just a still. And the way that even though what you end up having as a final product is a static thing, like you said, you're able to tap into multiple moments.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and that's what's taken up my work time now, is painting from photos, doing commission pieces for people. So, I'm in the Midwest. Wedding season is spring through late fall,
Hmm.
and the weather's good. And so wintertime, not so many weddings. My first year, full year going through this, I thought, oh, wintertime's going to die. What am I going to do? Am I going to have to get a
Yeah.
part-time job or whatever? But that's when fundraisers here kick in. And then, Christmas time. I mean, I totally underestimated my first Christmas season. So people thinking of this for gifts.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
People just trust me with some of the craziest things. They see me working on site somewhere, and I mean, they see a girl holding a paintbrush and they just trust me that I can paint whatever. So it's been pet paintings, it's been like their kids' hobbies, it's been, paintings for grandma's 80th birthday party and all the cool places she's traveled. It's nuts. So over Christmas time, my husband's birthday is early January. So over Christmas time, had all the kids together, and they always kind of curious what I'm doing, but
Hmm.
they're kind of like, oh, there she goes again, off to work. It's like I'm working bartender hours. I get all
Sure.
gussied up and my face done and stuff, and I am off to work on a Saturday afternoon. I'm sure that the rest of the world is just kind of like, there she goes. My neighbors are probably thinking I'm crazy, but anyway, so I got the kids together around the holidays, and I'm like, let's do something for your dad. So painting from photos. This is an example of what I did for, sorry, Daddy.
Okay. Okay. So this was a still that you were given, or were you there and you painted this?
No, so this is me and my husband and our three guys.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so our wedding we were second time around for both of us when we got
Hmm.
married, and did a lot of DIY stuff. So we didn't have real, a huge variety of photos and stuff.
Sure.
And then the kids, I mean, Savannah's on her phone a lot, so that was an image that I'm just collaging a lot of different things that
Is that a
convey our
selfie?
personality. Yeah, totally.
I love it.
That's what she's all about. Ryan's up there in his softball jersey and Alabama hat, and so Russ and I in our wedding attire. And then Tyler loves basketball, and so our pets are in there. Russ played football in college. I don't know if you can see that. So got a little
Oh,
football field back
cool.
there with his high school and
Man.
college pendant and stuff. So that's a good example, hopefully, of what can happen, when you're taking a variety of different things, combining lots
Yeah.
of different personalities, but you want something in one piece that can go. That's kind of a crazy look, that may not work in everybody's home, but in an office that would be so cute, or, in a
Yeah.
room or whatever. So, yeah.
Well, and I can just hear my sister-in-laws who are 10 years older than me, all with kids right now, being like, oh my gosh, all
Yeah.
of my kids' eyes could be open.
Yeah. I know.
Like,
Exactly. I mean, I
but
can
that's
paint you
so
20
cool.
pounds lighter, whatever you want.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's go just a little bit into kind of your technique. You talked a little bit about how when you do your live stuff, you get there, before the event really starts, so you're able to kind of map out some things. Um, it's interesting because on the one hand, it's painting, so I assume if you like make a mistake or something, you can kind of paint over it
Yeah.
or something like that. But at the same time, like this is kind of your first and only draft at getting it right.
Right. Right. Exactly. And I've learned. So that very first painting that took so long, I wore
Hmm.
out the event. I was exhausted, and it was should be wrapping up by then. But so I learned from there, and I thought, to figure this out, I have to go somewhere, and I have to work where I know there's a lot of moving targets, and I have to work where the elements are unpredictable. So I set
Yeah.
up at our local farmers market here, and I just tried to figure it out. I mean, lots of people, nobody's sitting down at a farmers market. They're strolling, they're shopping, they're chasing their kids, whatever. And then I had a friend that had a shop downtown. So during their little sip and shop events, I would set up there, and just, again, trying to figure this out. So yes, it is the first and only draft, and I have
Yeah.
learned, some tricks going along. So I exaggerate the perspective academically. This may bore a lot of people, but for the creatives, I exaggerate the perspective a little bit so that I can get a really kind of a, not fisheye lens look, but kind of, just
Yeah.
really deepen that space on the canvas so that I can get some stuff way off in the distance and get some things way up close, and then somehow leave room for the couple. Usually it's during the
Yeah.
first dance that they want to be plopped in there. Sometimes it's just greeting their guests, sometimes it's snuggled in during a toast, but that first stuff is going on there, and I just kind of adjust it as needed. So,
Well, can I just say that, like, you obviously have a talent that can't just be like paint by numbers repeated. Like I know enough of artwork from like my high school classes to know that I'm not good, but that it takes a lot of work when it comes to like shade and perspective and
yeah,
lighting and making sure that like everybody that's in the painting or whatever is coming from the same vantage point. And being able to do all of that and so quickly, I think is just so fascinating. So let's talk a little bit about, we talked before we went live about some things, and one of the things I wanted to come back to was it seems like you've really figured out a way to make this a business that works for you. And you've gone through some lessons learned that have helped you kind of pivot and change your services so that it's easier for you to do a great job and give the client what they need. Can you give some
Mhm.
examples of what you've learned in the past 2.5 years and some things that you've done to improve both the final product and also just like your own procedure and you
Yeah,
know
I kind of can, but I kind of can't because every single event is so different.
yeah.
So there is a general way that I've learned to start. I use a deep profile canvas. I paint those edges first so that has a chance to dry so anybody toward the end of the event can pick it up and transport it. Just
Oh,
technically, that's
that's
just something.
so smart. Was that something that you had to learn the hard way, or
Yeah,
were you?
yeah. So I'll
Yeah,
a lot of times have the bottom of the canvas that's not painted, and I'm like, oh, so yeah,
yeah.
just some of those very basic things, and they seem so common sense now that I'm saying them out loud,
Hmm.
but maybe not. I mean, I didn't think of it at first, so and then just getting started with the lines of the room and everything. But yeah, I mean, the first few events too, I think I was trying to be nice to everybody that came up and had a question for me, and I would spend too much time talking. I'm like, hang on a second, I'm here to work. So reframe
Oh
this next time.
yeah,
So this is my job. So I had a little sign that I made and it said live painting in progress, and so little things like that. and
sure.
and my setup, I want to make sure that if I'm having to park a couple blocks away and lug my gear into a hotel lobby or whatever, then it's streamlined as much as possible. So I check in with the venue ahead of time, make sure that they've got a bar stool if possible, a cocktail height table if possible, so that
Nice.
stuff I don't have to bring. And just kind of communicating, I think, and planning,
Yeah.
and preparing. There's been a couple of times I forgot my palette, so I'll borrow a paper plate from the venue, and I always think that
Oh
looks
really?
stupid. Like a paper plate to
Is
make
the
this
palette
masterpiece.
is the palette really like better than a plate, or is it just the look?
It makes you look legit. If you can, the thing with the hole in it, like,
Yeah.
then you're really an artist.
Right.
But I've got this really cool, I don't know if it's like pewter or like an antique silver platter. It's got this really beautiful embossed pattern on the edge. To me, it's like a wedding piece. So
Yeah.
it's perfect for that.
Now,
It's part of their brand, I
and
think.
I've never
It's part of
actually studied one of those palettes before.
hmm
I know because of like the emojis and stuff that have them.
Yeah.
Are there? It assumes unless you have like a huge one, you have a limited
hmm
number of colors that you can put on that thing. So, are you doing a
Yeah.
lot of color mixing during the live
Yeah.
events?
I probably also have about 20, 15 to 20 colors squirted out. And that's the
Okay.
thing, too. I mean, I've learned what paints work and what colors work. And when the lights go down and you've got the crazy, like hot pink and purpley up lights in a
Sure.
venue, um, oh my gosh, I've learned really immense amounts of stuff. And I don't really think about it until I guess I'm talking it through with somebody. So
Yeah.
it's kind of nice now, to look back on the past couple of years and, feel like I'm heading somewhere and it's
No,
working.
it's
So,
it's really cool. I mean, we've talked quite a bit about the artistic and creative
mhm.
side of the business. Let's talk about the business side of things. And we don't have
Yeah.
to get into like the nitty-gritty details of it,
hmm
but one of the things that I love that you told me about before we went live was that you're marketing while you're performing and offering your service. Are you finding that you're getting a lot of your bookings and things from people who are at previous events? It,
hmm
yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like it's a super, I don't know, it feels like it's very rare. Marketing is always this huge abyss. Where do you start? Where do you invest? How long till you see a return on your investment?
Hmm.
All of that stuff. And when I'm working, my target market is all around, so,
Yeah.
and to find your target market, if you're having to pay for your advertising, where do you pour the money into? Where is your market looking to find people like you in business? So that's, that's also kind of blown my mind. I mean, I'm super, super fortunate, and I know I know it's not common to be like this. So when I'm working and it's
Hmm.
a paid job, my target market is all around. So if I'm at a wedding, the couple's friends who are either getting married in the near future
Yeah.
or have gotten married recently or whatever, they're everywhere. And then the parents of the couple, their friends are all there, and the family's all there. The great Aunt Nell that needs a gift for somebody's wedding that's coming up, and she's got all the money in the world, but she has no idea what to get them.
Yeah.
So she comes forth and produces a on-site painter at the wedding.
It's such a
But
unique thing. I love it.
it is. It's so crazy. I mean, I tried print advertising for 1 month. I know advertising is, like I said, I know you need to invest, several rounds at it before you see the return and stuff.
Yeah.
But I got one call off that one print ad. But any wedding that I work, there's always half a dozen inquiries that come in, usually within 24 hours or so. And it's still
Okay.
new enough to people that they're excited to
Yeah.
do something like this. Yeah.
So let's talk like real like fine detail here. So your
Mm-hmm.
event is over. Um, I'm sure you have like business cards or whatever that people can pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Are people also kind of giving you their own business cards to follow up? Like, do you have like a pool of cards usually after an event
Uh,
that you're
no,
responding
not
to?
not so much
Okay.
really. I dole out business cards while I'm working, and I have my little sign there, live painting in progress, and then
Yeah.
a little stack of cards. So they'll take them and there's new followers and likers on social media after almost every wedding, and then
Yeah.
people. I might have some brief conversations with some people while I'm working, and parents. It's interesting. Dads, a lot of times come up to me. Oh, my kids are getting married, whatever, and
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is something cool and new and different. And if it's the country club crowd or whatever, then they're looking to be the first to blow something out at the club.
Yeah. Well, I
So,
mean, and I'm thinking of my own dad. I mean, so I'm one of 7 kids,
oh my God,
and the first one to get married was a huge deal.
yeah,
And I mean, they all kind of were, but like now it's like when the last one gets married, my dad like will do anything.
yeah.
So
Give me his
totally your
name.
target
Is he
market.
watching right now?
Uh, Joe Vitale, he's not on Facebook,
Okay.
but I will be sending him a link to this. I'll be sending my whole family like a package link to this
You're
because
so
I think it's
kind.
so cool.
Thank you.
So it seems like you're kind of having those conversations and creating those opportunities for leads and things. After an event, do you feel like you're you're waiting for people to start the conversation with you, or do you kind of have a to-do list of people to contact?
I feel like I'm kind of wearing out social media, but
Yeah.
this is perfect for that. It's so
Yep.
visual,
Yeah.
and I'm working on getting videos done when I'm working and time lapse videos and stuff too, because those, video gets more traction for sure on social media. But I'll do a post right after I leave an event and hashtag the heck out of it, and tag the venue and the planner or whoever it is that was
Smart.
involved, and it just works. I don't know. There's conversations that just happen. I know it's not. I mean, I feel arrogant, like, oh, look at what I get to do, and this is all I just have to submit a post, but there's so
No,
many things.
it's
I mean, it's a new enough thing. People at weddings are always looking for something new.
yeah,
It is old school. I mean, there is the filters and the hashtags and all the
right.
cool stuff that people are doing with lighting and the projection images and dance floor lights and all kinds of stuff with
Yep.
technology. So I feel like there's a need. I mean, people,
No, it's a very cool um, value.
I think the
It's a
social
very
media
cool value.
phenomenon, people are so hands off, and relationships, you don't even have face to face connection. And so I feel like this kind of fits that. It
Yeah.
feeds something that I feel like is a whole. I'm getting all philosophical here, but I feel like as a whole, we're kind of craving a little personal touch, a little personal interaction. So, yeah.
Totally, totally. I want to get to Nick Rishwain's question. Thanks to Nick and Nicole, my attorney buddies who have been following and engaging along.
Awesome.
Nick asks, does Cindy sell any art strictly online unrelated to weddings? I think the answer is yes, right, Cindy?
I have just a couple of different prints. So at a fundraiser that I was at, always looking for at a fundraiser what to paint that's going to jack up the bids and raise the most
Yeah.
money for the organization. So I live in Columbia, Missouri, and I was thinking of ways to do some local visual landmarks in a crazy format that seemed to work. You know, it got a lot of attention on social media. And so I checked with the organization and the high bidder, and I ended up making prints of that piece. So it's just prints. Who was it that asked the question? I'm sorry.
It was Nick Rishwain.
Yeah, so
But
Nick,
it
and
sounds like you'll
I mean,
also do like people can send you a picture and you can paint it and
yeah, it's
ship
so
it.
custom. I
Yeah.
mean, that's another thing as an artist. A lot of times you have to have an inventory of stuff that you pack up and take to a gallery or showroom to display. And
Mhm.
I don't have a lot of inventory. Most of my stuff, I mean, the two paintings that you may have seen here,
Yeah.
you know, so that's another thing that's pretty amazing. I don't have a lot of stuff laying around. It's done on site. It's delivered usually that night and on to the next one. You know,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So viewers, forgive me. I'm gonna try and get something to show up on the screen here. I want to show you guys what Cindy has done for was it the Columbia, Missouri or
Hmm.
um,
I call it around town Como.
yeah. So if anybody else wants something like this, especially for their city, I
Yes.
I know that
Thank
a
you.
couple of my good business friends in St. Louis are dying to have something that's similar. And you can go to TooRooster.com and you can see pictures of her past work. Um, but I'm looking for.
It was in February of last
Oh,
year.
there it is.
And
There it
yeah,
is.
Joey, you may have been hinting and leading me into a conversation there, and I didn't catch on. But yes, thank you. So to do things,
No,
you know,
let me see
in
if I
different
can find this
areas. Yeah.
because
Yeah, it's cool. And that morning I woke up and I was talking with my husband. I'm like, I got an event tonight. I just want to do something different. What do you think? And he's not artistic, so it's perfect to run some of these ideas past him. I said, what do you think if I had made all the buildings pointing to the sky, like a circular format and crazy colors? And he's like, yeah, sure, go for it, whatever. You know, so and that one was done really quick, and that was a huge canvas. It was a
yeah. Well,
3 or 4 foot
what's so
square.
cool about it is that you're able to put so many landmarks into one painting.
Yeah.
And because it's a painting, here it is. Let me share my screen with you guys. I think you're really gonna like this. Um, so here is a picture of it on Instagram, and who's the cat on the
That's
screen?
my cat. That's that's our cat. And
Um,
she's always real into what I'm doing, so she's a good little helper. So that one was Roachport. That one is a cute little town nearby here. It's a great little winery community right on the river. And so yeah, that was maybe the second around town layout that I did, and that was maybe October or November of this year, or of last year. Sorry. Um,
okay,
yeah, and then there's one that the colors are a little bit crazier from February of last year. And I was looking online
let
here
me see
too
if
to
I
see if
can. I
I
mean,
could.
you guys can see.
Yeah.
I'm going to scroll through her Instagram so you can see a little bit more. But it's
Mhm.
just it's so cool. And this is from the
So,
which airport? O'Hare, of course.
oh yeah,
Like
there you go.
such,
A little shout out, Chi-Town.
yeah, I love it. But let me. Was it? Oh, and then you did the eclipse one.
Yeah, yeah, that was cool.
Like, guys, how
Yeah,
cool is that? Um,
yeah. So there's a
I
big festival here in town, and there was music and yard games and booths and food trucks and all kinds of cool stuff. That was fun. Hot air balloons. I mean, it was such an amazing. Oh my gosh, 2024. We're gonna see all that again, right? I'm
yeah.
booking my room right now. I love it.
So I'll knock that back down. But I wanted to show that to you guys because you get to see a little bit more sense of the type of artwork that she does. But if any of you are want to do something cool for your neighborhood or your
Mhm.
city, um, it's just such a cool way to fit so many of those cool
Thank
landmarks
you.
and neat little things into one thing, and have it be, something that your whole community can enjoy. Just really, again, creative, very cool looking.
Thank you.
Um, awesome. So,
Thank you so much.
Cindy, we have a little bit of time left.
Hmm.
Um, because I am a lawyer, uh, I wanted to talk a little bit about the legalities of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I know that we had a call maybe about a year ago now,
Hmm.
man, geez,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, about, certain contracts that you were working on and copyrights. And
Hmm.
it's very likely that, when you're making these paintings, you both probably need, to some extent, permission of the people whose faces are shown. There might be certain copyrighted works within what you're painting.
Hmm.
Uh, how have you decided to kind of navigate around the legalities of things? And do you have any questions that you still don't really have answers to?
Oh gosh, there's questions all the time. I mean, I
Yeah.
continue to learn, as things continue to happen and grow. I mean, questions every day. I just need a little Joey Vitale in my back pocket. Is there an app for that?
We'll get there.
Okay, good. um, but yeah, the fine print, I think, in the paperwork initially, and that's changed gobs. So, and I'll lay it
Yeah.
out in the fine print with my client, whether it's the parents of the couple or one of the couple, the bride or the groom themselves that are hiring me. And I just let them know. Usually there's 15, I say 15 to 20 recognizable people in the painting. And then, I'll get other people in as I'm able to, and I just kind of ask for them to review it all and make sure that, whatever questions they've got, they're coming back to
Yeah.
me. Um, Talking to a lawyer, let's see, that's probably not enough.
Yeah.
I
Well,
probably need
so
a little more.
the advantage that you have in your business,
Hmm.
taking my legal hat off, is that if as long as you do a great job, it's going to be hard for people, I think, to be nitpicky around the legalities of it.
Yeah, and I
And
guess too, the word people have kind of asked me. It's interesting the questions that I get when I'm working. Some people have asked me, "What style do you call this? Is it impressionism? Is it whatever?" And
mm,
I guess it's mostly impressionistic because you can usually pick out, a dozen or so people who's
yeah,
doing what in the wedding based on what they're wearing and how I paint that, or based on a hairstyle and how I paint that, or
mm,
facial hair, or glasses, or whatever, or maybe their position around the dance floor while the couple's doing their first dance. But it's not portraiture, so
yeah,
I'm not getting every single little crease in their face,
right,
and not painting logos on shirts and stuff like that.
right.
You like that, lawyer man?
Yeah, you can keep the logos off the shirts.
Okay,
That's a
good.
good legal move.
But yeah, just so it is just kind of a general. I'm trying to capture the energy,
Yeah,
at an event, and tell a little bit of the story as things are happening. Um, so it's I'm talking with the venue ahead of time. A lot of times, you know, this is still new to them. So,
hmm
but they want to make their clients happy, especially in a wedding. So there's not a lot of not a lot
yeah,
of back talk I get from them. They're very willing and very accommodating to me coming into their spaces. And some of these are like historical places, and I want to make sure that they're comfortable with me working.
yeah,
So I show up if needed. I show up, and I've got a drop cloth I can lay out. But I mean, thank goodness I'm a neat painter, and um,
yeah,
I shop secondhand, so that in case I do get paint on my outfit, it's not a big deal. But I mean, it's those things I've learned too. But
yeah.
it's worked out. So uh, usually the people that are recognizable in the painting is the close family members,
Sure,
some of the bridal party. If there's kids running around way past their bedtime, and they put on such a great show anyway and add a
sure.
great element to the painting. So I
Yep,
get them in there. And then I think if I'm giving credit to the other vendors, it's a mutual high
yep,
five, and let's keep growing for each other.
yeah. Okay, I can't end the conversation without asking, how regional are you in offering your services, and are you willing to travel to events?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And yes, so I do travel. I've been in Chicago a couple of times actually last
Love
year.
it.
Had this great family that used me for both sons' weddings and mama's birthday party. So that was
Wow.
awesome. I
Well,
know
it's
they
good to
were,
know I'm in your radius.
yeah, exactly. And so I live, my town is a college town, so there's a lot of coming and going all the
Mhm.
time, and kids may, go to school here and settle somewhere else, or maybe parents move here when their kids are going to school, and whatever the connection is, though, like I painted in Detroit last year for a wedding, and there was a ton of people from my town there, so. Um, there's some things I'm figuring out with travel, of course, too, and it's nice to
Oh,
know
sure.
that what the connection is and how I found out about the clients, and then
Yep.
what connections are there, and then what kind of safety net I'm going to have when I'm traveling. Are there people that are going to be there that I know, or I just really have several conversations with the venue ahead of time, so I know that I'm safe and not coming into a place that is full of a bunch of crazies and you
Yeah.
know but there's some of that stuff too. I mean, I love to travel and I love to go places and see new things. And every event is, I mean, so totally different. I never
Yeah.
know like what I'm going to get myself into. Visually, it's awesome. The spaces, decor is always done differently. The family, I mean, it's just there's every single one is just mind blowing and amazing. Even the hands-on
Yeah.
DIY stuff where all the family's making everything that you're partaking of at the wedding. I love them all, but just being smart about these days and traveling some. So it's
Sure.
just preparing and planning and communicating, I think, ahead of time.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm
Cool.
traveling. I'm traveling for what I'm
If
doing. So
anybody, if
very
anybody's
willing.
interested, let us know in the comments. Um, so, do you feel like Two Rooster is kind of where your dream for the company has been? Like, do you feel like you're kind of at that place that you've wanted to hit, or do you see the business as growing to a place that's beyond where you're currently at? Like, could you have a team of people? Like, what do you want the business to look like in 5 years?
I love that question, and it's totally in my head big time these days.
Sure.
Like, if I'm booked for an event, if I'm turning away work potentially because I'm already booked for that weekend, then you know, so that tells me there's still a need for this. I'm considering consulting to other people that would be interested in on-site event painting, teaching them what I have figured out, maybe shorten their learning curve,
Sure.
but not being responsible for
Right.
them directly. That's the direction that feels like if and when I grow, that would be the direction is, some kind of a subscription plan, online training, lots of phone calls, maybe me visiting an artist and working alongside them for their
Mm.
first couple of events and just
Yeah.
kind of showing them, how to get the process going and how to get something on the canvas as quickly as possible so that it's done when it needs
Yeah,
to
like
be.
like a
But
s- like a s- I could even see that morphing into like a second painter type of thing where
yeah,
you have
collab
like two
stuff
perspectives. Yeah,
could be cool. For
could be
sure.
really cool. Oh, and I
Yeah.
never even thought about that side of the business before we started talking. But I mean, I share an office space with a wedding planner.
Okay.
Shout out to City Girl Weddings in Chicago, and I mean, they also have that hard limitation of how many
Yeah.
weddings they can help with a year because of the size of their team and
Sure.
certain weekends fill up. And so I think it's awesome to watch your business grow, to see it thriving, for you to be an example of a painter that has been creative and has built a business that is being sustainable. I love it.
I know. I love it too. I had no idea that this kind of life existed as an artist. I always hoped maybe
Yeah,
I'd sell a painting here and there, or I did lots of mural work on people's walls, when that was big and kids' rooms and
sure.
stuff like that. So I think all of that just kind of lends to my credibility, and I'm in
Yeah,
people's homes and intimate spaces, and I'm taking care of their space as if it was mine. And so just, trying to kind of let people know that I'm legit. And the business part, it's interesting too, because as an artist, a lot of times, people are hoping to sell some things and hoping to make it as an artist and still be able to do your passion. And I'm kind of fired up by the business part of it too. I'm ate up with trainings and podcasts and indie show lives, and I'm just learning gobs, and that's feeding a whole different part of it. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm where I am meant to be right now, and my maturity level and all of that it's kind of come together. My mom always said, when in your 40s, things just kind of come together and you figure things out. And here I am.
Well, I was going to say you don't look 40, but
Oh, thank you. Mwah.
um, but I think you're right. No matter what age you are, when you decide to run with a business and own it, you just learn at such an accelerated pace.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
if there's a need for it, and if the
yeah,
phone's ringing and you're getting the emails, I mean, figure it out. There's that's the marketing part is working apparently. If you're getting
yeah.
contacts, so dig deep. Miss
So
sleep for a few nights and just go for it.
so I've got two questions that we'll end on.
Okay.
Both are, let's say that you're a new coming creative came to you and just asked for advice, kind of in general. First, what just in general advice would you give to a creative that is just starting out? And then two,
Mm-hmm.
as a part of that question, where would you invest first as a business owner to kind of propel the business forward?
So I think advice. I didn't know about this line of work, and somebody
Mhm.
approached me about it.
Mm.
Um, in the past, I've always taken that as, oh, I'm flattered, I'll give it a shot. But
Yeah,
I've never really taken the time to really figure it out as a business. So I think, just be open and have genuine conversations with people, and seek higher, like spiritually and professionally and all of that. Surround yourself truly with people that are going places, and listen to them and watch what they're doing. And, I'm kind of blown away with some of the talent that I've been surrounded by at some of these events and
yeah.
weddings. And, I think, how am I good enough to be
Mm.
in this place? And
Sure.
I'm just a small town Midwest girl, but I'm doing my best to keep up with them, and something must be working because they keep calling back. This
That's
thing should
awesome.
pop out of my head.
I know. And in terms of investments, uh,
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I've got a little studio space, and that felt like a stretch when I went for that. And
Hmm.
sometimes that's more for storage of canvases for future jobs than it is actual workspace. Just kind of depends on what's going on at my house. If I need a quiet
Yeah.
place to go to, I found a great deal on an office space, and I love the building. And so it's been a good move, and I can meet clients there to talk about projects and stuff if need be. Um, but I don't know. A lot of people I know, when they start a business, especially planning for it to be their full time income,
Yeah.
they're looking at ways to really jumpstart it, money wise and time wise and everything. And the investment part of it, um, it's it's just me right now. I
Yeah.
mean, I might end up hiring for like assistant type stuff, response to
Yeah.
emails and maybe deliveries, for commission work. I've done that a little bit. Hired our
Mm.
kid for helping with deliveries last Christmas. I mean, but that's not consistent. So it would be, I've listened to some of the live videos on virtual assistant. I can't think of her name now, but I know it's somebody that you'd interviewed in the
Okay.
past. And so might be virtual assistant stuff, might be the accounting thing, because
Yeah.
that's not my forte. But
So it
those
sounds
things.
it sounds like you're really keeping like expenses low, um, but and I wasn't necessarily planting the question, but I know that both of us worked with, somebody who could teach us how to sell and what our target market was relatively quickly.
Yeah.
And um, I think that sometimes when people start a business, it's so easy to start Googling and reading books and to go from there. And that can be really dangerous
And to
because
think
you,
that that's enough. to
Yeah.
think that you figured it out based on a Google response or something.
Well, not only that, but it also can start to slow down your momentum and
Yes.
you're consuming more than you're acting,
Yes.
which is a really bad place for a business to be when you're just starting because you
Right.
need to be moving like crazy if you don't have any customers yet.
Right. 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 And I totally agree with that. And I think
Yeah.
if I did not have jobs on the books, I would probably spend some time just reading books and
Yeah.
I don't even know, taking some classes or something like that. And I'm at the point where I wouldn't mind taking some classes to polish a couple skills and
Sure.
stuff. But yeah, that can kind of freeze you too. And then you compare yourself, which as a creative, that's just,
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't have time to second guess things. I'm nervous before every single event. I show up, when I say I'm going to, I get my stuff set up and I just have to start painting. I cannot sit there and second guess anything. I just got to get going,
Mm.
just plug in. So, yeah, yeah,
Love it.
I
Well,
do.
Cindy, thank you so, so much for your time today.
My pleasure.
I think that what you're doing is so cool. I really love chatting with you and learning more about the business and the art and everything behind it. And just, I mean, keep doing what you're doing because it's working.
Thank
Um,
you.
and anybody who is watching, if you want to continue to follow her, Cindy's on a lot of places online, but it seems like the coolest place to follow her right now is on Instagram.
It
So
works.
it's just a TooRooster Artistry.
Yeah, yeah.
Two
TOOROOSTER. So,
Awesome. So
hmm
so follow her on Instagram. You can see both the pictures and some of the videos of how she's doing it. It's really really cool. Thanks again, Cindy.
thank
And
you.
everybody have a great week. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.